Hey there, this is Matt once again. Welcome back to another review, and this time it is of the sequel, The Night Strangler. Now, I talked about The Night Stalker, great movie, great TV movie. Like I said, it was a huge hit when it came out in 1972. It was a rating smash. So, a year later, we have the sequel, which was still a huge hit. Wasn't as big as that one, but it was still a huge hit enough that originally they wanted to do a third movie, which dealt with, I think it was Hawaii and aliens. It was like an alien invasion, and they would take people, like higher up officials, and replace them with versions that looked like them but wasn't really them. But they're like, nah, instead of the movie, let's do the TV show. Which I love that TV show. That TV show deserves a Blu-ray release. Now, Dan Curtis was a producer of the first film, but he went to the director's chair for this. Once again, the screenplay was written by Richard Matheson. Now, The Night Strangler, like I said, came in 1973, and from what I understand, the original idea was it was supposed to be Jack the Ripper. Jack the Ripper was going to be the killer in this, which they actually did that on the TV show. There was an episode where Kolchak dealt with Jack the Ripper, but it was supposed to be this guy, which, would have made sense. I don't really understand why they decided not to go that route. I think they should have for this movie. I still enjoy this film quite a bit. The only minor complaint is there are times where it does feel a little redundant, as in doing the same thing as the first movie. Because both films even start with a woman walking down the street, getting killed by a man in black clothes. Once again, dealing with the officials. Once again, no one believes him. Once again, by the end, the story is struck down and he's ran out of town. Only instead of Las Vegas, this takes place in Seattle, Washington. But just because it's formulaic, sometimes formulaic could be fine. It really can. This is one of those instances. But still, because it was still done well. If it's done well, then it's not that big of a problem to me. I like the different locale of Seattle, Washington, the usage of location. Like there's a scene where him and a lady have dinner, or at least hang out. That building there, Spire building. And definitely when you get to the finale, the underground city, which I didn't know much about, but apparently there were some fires and things of that nature. And I guess under Seattle, there is sort of an underground city. I don't know if it's as intricate as is in the movie, but there is apparently quite a bit of stuff under Seattle, which is an interesting idea, that an underground city. And made for a very effective finale in this, I must say. But Kolchak, it does follow up on this one because he's still out of a job. He's looking for a job. He's in Seattle now. He's still trying to sell the story, the vampire story from the first film. No one wants to hear it. Vincenzo, the same editor from Vegas, he's there working in Seattle. Over here's Kolchak, offers him a job, and you still have that wonderful back and forth between Simon Oakland, who is the editor, and Kolchak. They have, like I said, they have great chemistry with each other. They great back and forth personality, yelling and fighting with each other, screaming at the top of each other's lungs. Just a very entertaining, vitriol type of relationship. But you could tell they still liked each other as well. Like when they're fighting, and Simon Oakland's like, "Let me finish my lunch," and walks off, and then out of the blue, Coach is like, "Hey, where are you going?" I know that this is mean anything when I just say that out of the blue, but when you watch in the film, it works effectively. But it's Kolchak going through the investigations once again. This time it's a killer, which he finds out goes back every 21 years to the 50s, then the 30s, and then even to the 1910s, and then even before that, 1890 something. Every 21 years, this person comes out, kills about 6 women, strangles them, breaks their neck. And one thing I didn't mention in the review of this, and I'm filming them back to back on the same night, but Chris Carter he said the biggest influence on the X-Files was Kolchak. That's why he actually wanted Darren McGavin to play that character, which Darren McGavin didn't want to do, and I'm not sure why. Although, from what I understand, when he was making the TV show, he had to put a lot of hats on. He was helping on the scripts, he was producing, he was getting burned out. That's one of the reasons why the show got canceled, down low ratings. I think there were even 2 more episodes they were supposed to do, and they didn't do it. So maybe he got burned out trying to do so much stuff. But he came on the X-Files as a different character. But I do wish he would have played Kolchak. I think that would have been amazing. So, and you didn't really hear Darren McGavin talk about it, so I don't know if he got tired of people asking him about it. Because, some people get tired of being asked the same thing over and over again, or I don't know what the deal was. I really don't. But he still did a phenomenal job in these movies and the TV show. Because, like I said in the previous review, he had that going for the truth with a capital T, but he had a quick wit, he had a great sense of humor, he was ready to fight and yell and scream at the officials and the cops. Like the police chief, I've been an officer for 30 years. And Kolchak goes, then why don't you retire? So I love Kolchak. He's such a great character to be around. That's why the TV show, yeah, you say it's formulaic because it was just a monster of the week. But to me, it worked because it was what was called Kolchak's reactions, the investigation, and how is he going to defeat the villain. Sometimes simplicity works. And the scripts were well written. When Vincenzo, the editor, Simon Oakland's like, oh, I got this memorandum signed by, and then Kolchak said, what, signed by God? He's a fun wise ass. And he's looked into these killings. Oh, I was mentioning Chris Carter. He was a big influence on the X-Files. I bet in one of the early episodes of the X-Files, he did an episode called Squeeze, which dealt with a killer that would come out every certain number of years. I forget what the exact number that was on. It was a character named Toombs that could squeeze into very tight spots and kill its victims. It was doing it because it wanted the liver, I believe it was the liver, as sustenance. And then it would go into hibernation, and it came out every certain amount of years. I wonder if that is in reference to this. I have to think it is. Just like in this one, every 21 years this killer comes out, and you find out it's because it gets ingredients for this elixir of life, one of them being the blood from women. That's one of the ingredients. But yeah, the performances are well done, the cast, you have people like John Carradine, who's been in like hundreds of movies, even at this point. You have Margaret Hamilton. She plays a professor. Those who don't know who that is, that's the Wicked Witch of the West, the evil witch in Wizard of Oz. She's in this. You have Al Lewis, who is Grandpa Munster on the Munsters, which is funny because he played a vampire in that, and he's in this film which is a sequel to a movie that dealt with a vampire. And women are dying, and he's battling with the officials. There are times where the villain kicks the cop's ass in an alleyway. Of course, the officials don't want to listen to Kolchak. And then the finale's in this underground city. And it's a great... What's the best way to describe it? The atmosphere with smoke. There's cobwebs everywhere. There's even tables that look like there's corpses right by it. I'm thinking, fuck, this almost looks like Texas Chainsaw Massacre. With the cobwebs and the corpses sitting there right by the tables. I'm like, fuck. I mean, is this going to turn into Texas Chainsaw Massacre? That would have been interesting for a Kolchak episode. Maybe if there was a season 2, we could have seen something like that. And the villain, I like the villain in the first one, the vampire, but this one, they do give him a little bit more personality, the villain, because at the end, when he finds Kolchak in his lair, he talks to him. He even starts talking to the skeletons as if they were alive. Our guest here, and almost does the James Bond thing where, let me tell you my whole plan. Let me give you the monologue of what I have been doing and what I'm going to do. Yes, Mr. Bond, I want you to die. Which is his downfall, because Kolchak, fucks up his last dosage that he needs, and thus dies because he doesn't get his last dosage and ages shitload ton. And that's what I like about Kolchak. He fucks up the bad guys. I love the X-Files. It's one of my favorite TV shows. There's one of the things that was a bit tiresome at times, that a lot of times there was this ambiguous ending where I guess they didn't really win, they didn't really defeat the villain, they didn't really stop him, which I think they did that a little bit too much at times. But I still love the show, at least until the last 2 fucking revival seasons. Bullshit. And yeah, one of the revival seasons, they had a character dress up exactly like Kolchak. I'm like, fuck off. You don't deserve that. It wasn't Darren McGavin, it was another character that dressed up like Kolchak. I'm like, come on. But once again, he gets fucked over by the authorities, even though he did the right thing, and gets kicked out. Only this time, it's not just him kicked out, it's his editor Vincenzo kicked out. And they're going to, then they said they're going to New York. But maybe they're like, yeah, let's not have so much of a downer ending like the first one, because if this is successful, maybe we'll make another one. Which again, there was plans for a 3rd movie, but they went for a TV show instead, which I'm fine with, because they got like 12, 13 little mini movies instead of just one more. Man, it makes me want to go back and watch the TV show. I wish they got a Blu-ray release. I really do. But yeah, this like the first one. It's well shot for a TV movie. The usage of the city, I thought they did a solid job with that. Limited amount of usage for the music, but is used effectively. The 4K restoration is the best I've seen these films look. That they look fantastic on Blu-ray. That's why I wish someone would do that for the TV show. If they could make this, these were TV movies. If they could make these look great, I can imagine they can make the TV show look great too. So come on, someone do it. Someone do it. For fuck's sake. Kino Lorber, you can do it. You did these, do that. Fuck. I think more people saw the TV show than the TV movies. But the Night Strangler, the addition of the underground city, I thought was just a cool idea. It was a cool usage of what they had. And I liked it. I liked the look of it. I thought the way they lit it and the way they had smoke in there and the rooms Kolchak investigated, they were good cobwebs and dirty, and it gave a bit of a spooky atmosphere to it. You know, the sort of layer of this villain. And once again, Darren McGavin gave a great performance. I also enjoyed Joanne Flood, who was this belly dancer, and she had a spunky personality. She wasn't, ooh, I broke a nail, dead weight. She would help Kolchak. She was even bait in the third act to try to lure the villain out. And I liked her. I liked that she had a bit of a spunky attitude to her. She wasn't a pushover. Overall, this is a great double feature. It was a lot of fun. This one is a little bit longer. It's 90 minutes. I guess when it premiered, it was about an hour and 14, hour and 15 minutes, but I think overseas or something, this was released in theaters, so then they put some footage back in to make it 90 minutes, and that's the version we have, which I'm fine with. And this has a commentary with the film historian Tim Lucas, new interview with composer Bob Colbert, and then features from the DVD like Directing Night Strangler with Dan Curtis, limited edition booklet. The interview with the composer, yeah, I didn't think much of it. It's not the guy's fault, it's just there's just not much to say. The film historian, it was okay. You get quite a bit of info. It's not the most exciting listen, though. It's not the most amusing listen. Because a lot of times with film historians, it feels like they wrote an entire script and they're just sort of reading it off the page. So it gets a little bit monotonous when you're listening to it. But at the same time, you did quite a bit of info. So at least you have that. So it's at least worth one listen if you do grab these. But yeah, big fan of this stuff. Love the Kolchak character. And I did a review of the TV show long ago, about 7 years ago. I'll try to remember to put that link down below for those interested. Either way, thanks for watching. Take care. And we'll see you guys later. Bye-bye.